There is a lot of conversation on the internet about small, compact, portable, everyday carry cameras and the importance of them. I carry a few cameras that I believe are the right thing for me whenever it comes to what is an everyday camera. And I believe that there are a lot of people watching this video, you've already felt like you found your holy grail, your Goldilocks zone camera for your specific needs and your everyday carry. But there are still a lot of people looking to make this decision. Now you have a whole bunch of different options, both film and digital. You can go the film route and get an Olympus XA. You can get a Ricoh GR1S. You can get an Olympus Mew. Of course, Nikon has the Autoboy, etc. And you can go digital. Fujifilm has the XF10 and the X70 and the X100 line. All fantastic cameras. Leica has the Q line. Canon even has the GX7 line, which is a really fantastic sleeper line. And of course, you have the king of the small compact portable, which is the Ricoh GR system. From the GR2, GR3, and the GR3X, even the GR3X, GR3 HDF, whatever in the world that thing actually means. The cameras are readily available. Somewhat. Manufacturers are really struggling with logistics at this time of life, but you have a whole bunch of different options, and honestly there is no wrong answer when it comes to the small, portable, pocketable camera. But then why is it that so many people are unhappy after they grab a camera that they assume is going to be great for them? You can take it anywhere, you can take pictures at all times, but I just feel like there's a few things whenever it comes to purchasing these cameras that we overlook in lieu of the great response that other people have had to them. I mean, I've bought into hype about cameras before, and I've also found sleeper cameras for myself. Case in point, Nikon made a camera back in 2013 or 14, the Nikon Coolpix A, and I absolutely love this camera. This is my second version. The first one I had to return because unfortunately it had a secondhand battery and it bulged on me and got stuck in the camera. I wasn't trying to catch fire or explode. But this one right here is a good, nice, clean copy. Got a little bit of issues, but I got it for 100 buckarooskies. You won't find a camera like this for 100 buckaroos anywhere else. I got lucky, but this is my little small portable camera of choice. But I've had many others from Sony, Canon, Fujifilm, and of course Nikon, and each one played a specific purpose in my life, like a Q, X100 line, and each one had its flaws, each one had things that were good, but each one I knew the expectations of each and every single camera. And I think today I would like to help you out with that. These are some ideas, some tips, some things to keep in mind whenever it comes to picking your small everyday camera, because what makes an everyday camera great for you? Well, it's the fact that it's the camera for you, and no one can make that decision but you. But there are some things that you can decide based off of reviews and what you're listening to, some keywords, some key features that you'll be able to say yes, no, and make sure they check the box for you so that you can see if it's something that you actually want to use. Now, in this video, I'm not going to spell out which camera I think you should use, what camera I think is the best. What I'm going to tell you is just how to select these options. I don't know every small camera and I haven't used them. Whenever it comes to deciding on what camera you like, I think the biggest and most important thing to think about is the fact of focal length, and not the best focal length for all around work for portraits, not the best focal length for all around work for environment, for documentary, street photography. I mean the best focal length for you. If you are a classic 50mm shooter and you've shot all your street photography, all of your fun little family photos on that 50mm, being a creature of comfort is not a negative. It actually just means you found something that you're going to be more efficient in and easier to workflow in. So if you're someone who likes a longer telephoto lens, if you're someone who likes something that has a little bit more reach, don't look for the widest lens you can get and camera you can get and think that's going to be better for your application, because now I can get things, different looks, more of the image in frame. Your mind won't work like that immediately. You can always train yourself to getting there, but I always tell people, if you've never liked 28, if you don't shoot 28, don't get a Ricoh GR3, don't get an X70, don't get a Leica Q, because just because it's portable and it's in your hand doesn't mean you're gonna love it. And it goes vice versa. If you're someone who likes a wider angle, you're not gonna like a Canon QL17, is that what it is? QL7, whatever it is, you're not gonna like a Ricoh GR3X. And that's just what it is. It's going to be foreign, it's going to be hard. Yes, you can learn to like it. Yes, you can push yourself, but why not stay in that constant little bit of flow? Why not have that consistency through your work whenever it comes to the efficiency and the ability to immediately know how to frame, how to capture? Why have to go through a growing period when the whole point of the camera is to take more images day to day, not to change up what you're doing day to day? It's supposed to flow with you, not against you. The second thing is an EVF. Does it matter? Do you want one? Are you gonna feel weird without one? This is one thing that I think is the biggest issue that I hear from a lot of people, to where they end up selling their cameras on the used market because it's a no-go, because there's no EVF. Some people are okay with it. Some people don't mind it for the certain application. Some people absolutely hate it. You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself, especially because an EVF will always make a camera's price tag go a little bit up. And especially if you're buying something like, I don't know, one of Leica's little small portable cameras that don't have an EVF, or Olympus's, and you can put on an external EVF, you know, little guy on the hot shoe, that's a thing. And you got to figure out, do I want to walk around with this on there? And I think there's multiple things with optical viewfinders. You can put on Ricoh GRs, you can put on Fujifilm X70s, etc. But that's up to you. Do you want to spend the extra price to add a feature on that's not in a camera? And if it's not a feature or an add-on that you like the look of aesthetically, are you going to want to even use that camera? There are some people that are okay with using an LCD screen. They don't care about glare. They don't care about how dim it is in the light. They don't care if they don't have a camera up to their eye. They don't care if it doesn't look professional, but a lot of us do. Now me, I'm someone that is totally fine with an LCD. I don't need an EVF, because if I'm gonna be using this as a point and shoot, it's gonna be used as a point and shoot. And honestly, whenever I shoot something with 28mm, you're hardly gonna find me do anything but shoot from here or shoot at the hip. But whenever it comes to having a camera with or without an EVF, that is a specific personal choice for each person, and it is not easy to shake not having an EVF if you have to have one, especially if you have to have a really, really good EVF. On a lot of these compact cameras, they may not be the best. They're going to be low resolution, or they're going to be kind of small, can't view them, and they might be a little bit gimmicky. I'm thinking of the RX100 line, great camera, the RX100 VA. I would personally purchase myself because I think it's super cool, but for a lot of people, they wouldn't like it because the little EVF that pops out on the side, which is still a great feature to me, it may not be good enough to them. If you have glasses, is an EVF going to need to be larger for you in order for you to actually see through it correctly? These are some questions you need to ask, and again, it's something that I see a lot of people struggle with. They want the EVF. You can't shake that. If you are an EVF user at all times, due to glasses, due to bad eyesight, etc., you can't shake that. Don't try to shake that, just lean into it. Find a small compact portable camera that has that, or look and see what the extra price will be to buy the add-on EVF or an OVF if you're into optical, if you're shooting more wide-angle lenses. The third thing is size. How small do you want it, number one, and number two, the lens. How far does it protrude? This is one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't think about whenever it comes to these cameras. If you are getting a camera with a zoom lens and you think it's going to be great all around, it's fantastic, you don't mind the slower apertures at the further focal lengths, there's one thing that I do see people have an issue with, as well as I see people damage, and that is that zoom lens. It's going to protrude. It's going to extend, whether it's wider or whenever it's longer. I don't know what really is going on with some of those things. I feel like the ZV-1 was always backwards. But for a lot of people, that's an issue. When you have a lens that kind of has to pop out and zoom out, it's harder to put on filters onto it, number one. And number two, you also have another part of the camera that is able to collect dust and that is able to get damaged more easily. Zoom lenses and how far that lens sticks out, even if it's an everyday camera, like you're using let's say you're using a DSLR for an everyday camera, because that is something that you can do, that could be a problem for you. Start banging on stuff, it could become obvious, it may just not fit in your favorite bag. These are some things you have to think about. Take your bag into account. And even more, whenever it comes to size, you don't have to always go little. You don't have to go small. I'm telling you right now, you can still use a kind of bigger-ish body, a Fujifilm X-H2, an X-T5, you can use a Nikon Z6, a Z7, you can use a Canon, I don't know, like I said, a 5D Mark III. But if you partner that with a pancake lens that is the focal length that you like, it really cuts down on the size. We don't think how much of a difference that lens length actually makes whenever it comes to the next topic we're going to talk about, which is our bags. If you have it around your neck, you may not mind. But for a lot of us, we like to be able to stuff things in a bag. We like for it to be a little bit more portable, don't want it sticking out too far, and that lens makes a big difference. I can be okay with carrying around a 5D Mark III, a 5D Mark II, a 5D Mark I, or a 5D Mark IV. If I have a 40mm-ish pancake lens, I can work with that. On Fujifilm, I wouldn't mind walking around with this X-H2S if I had myself that 27f2.8 WR. That's a big deal whenever it comes to carrying around a camera that we don't talk about. The weight distribution, the size, whenever it comes to from front to back, is a lot of times more important than the size side to side and in the hand. For some of us with larger hands, you may actually like that a lot more than anything else. The next thing we're going to talk about is bags, and that is, are you going to use one? If you're going to use a bag, you may be more limited in the camera that you can actually take, or you may actually be able to expand on your camera options due to size. But there's one thing to think about. Big bags get in the way, and the less things you can have around your neck and the more weight you have off your shoulders, it's going to be better for whenever it's an everyday camera. Now, a lot of us still carry bags and things like that, but you have to decide if you're going to want to walk around with that. And from there, measure the internals of your bag, choose your camera based on that, figure out what the lens is, because the last thing you want to do is to buy a dope ass bag like from Domkey or Ona or Clever Supply Co. or one of the other companies that came out like in the last couple of years that does bags. The last thing you want is to buy one of those bags, absolutely love it, and have a camera that does not fit correctly. It's bulging out, it doesn't feel safe. We've all felt that, to where a camera just doesn't fit just right. It's too small and so it's rattling around, or it's too big and it's making everything bulgy and it doesn't clasp just right. That becomes an issue. Measure the inside of your bag and then make the decision accordingly. The last category that you need to take into account whenever it comes to this is the swag. And I'm 100% honest with this. It's the aesthetic. How cool does your camera look? Because I'm gonna guarantee you, you're not gonna give a shit about taking it out if you don't feel cool with it hanging around your neck. A lot of times for an everyday carry camera, we don't want to admit it, but we love whenever our camera is kitted out. We love when it looks cool. We love whenever it looks like it has a story to tell, blah, 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 blah. We can ignore it, we can pretend like it's not true, but everyone loves the aesthetic side of photography. Whether it's having a cool ass Nikon F3 with a DW-1 or 2, which is their waist level viewfinder, one of the most beautiful camera setups ever. I'm still trying to buy one for my boy Darren Lingerfeld. Whether it is the coolness of an X100V, of a Leica Q, of a Leica M, or if it's something as small and, you know, portable as a tiny Olympus XA, and you're having everyone ask you about it. The aesthetic side of photography and the aesthetic side of your personal choice with your camera is a big deal. Maybe you want something that's a little bit bigger and more of a conversation piece like a Nikon DF, which is probably one of the greatest DSLRs ever. Maybe you want something that will pair with some nice looking cool glass like from Zeiss. Maybe you want something that will pair well, you know, and look more professional or more like photojournalistic-y, like a Sony camera with one of their G Master lenses or their Zeiss 35 2.8 Pancake, which is again, Zeiss 35 2.8 Pancake lenses are the greatest pancake lenses for every single camera system. If your camera system has a 35mm 2.8 from Zeiss, that means you're one of the lucky ass group of people in the world. Sony, Leica both have them, and they are the best lenses for that system. I will die on that hill. But yeah, the aesthetic choice of it, the lenses you can put with it that look cool. Can you put a square hood on it? Does Square Hood make any accessories for it? Does Tahusa make any accessories for it? Does Polar Pro make anything for it? Can I put a glimmer glass on it? What can I do with it to make it look cool? Can I put a wooden grip on it? These are the things that legitimately you will ask yourself, and I think you should ask yourself when purchasing. How much more money is going to go into me kitting this thing out? What camera strap do I want? Am I going to get the Joe Greer short strap? Am I going to get a Clever Supply, Reggie Ballestero strap? Am I going to get a strap for my boy from Royal Leatherworks, Chris? Am I going to get a cool ass strap? Am I going to get a Peak Design capture clip? What am I going to do? These are legitimate things that we know that we're thinking about, but we kind of just don't talk about because we feel like that's shallow in the photography genre, in the field, whatever it is. Listen, make sure your cameras look cool. If they don't look cool to you, you're not going to want to bring them out. There's nothing cooler than, shout out to my mentor Flossie Carter, because he talks about this. When you're putting your phone down in the middle and everyone's got their iPhone this, iPhone that, their Samsung, but you pull out the new hotness and put it down, there is nothing like being the coolest person at the table. Same thing goes with cameras. When you're coming around and people are pulling out their, I have my Leica M6, I've got my M10, I've got my Fujifilm X Pro 3, the X100 VI, and you come and you pull out your badass, no one's gonna mess with you, Bronica SLR, and put that on the table, everyone's gonna understand that you're him, you're her, you're them. You are the peak of peak, and we pledge allegiance only to the hotness. Shout out to my boy Flossie Carter again for that, because he trained me. That's the major go that you need to go with. Buy something that you're gonna think is aesthetically cool. Buy something you're going to enjoy carrying around and talking to people about. Buy something that you're going to love that people look and say, cool camera, because I'm just being honest with you, it's fun to talk about photography. It's fun to like the way your camera looks, and it's fun to not to have to pretend like that shit doesn't matter. Let's be real about it. So with all that, I hope you understand what I'm saying, and I hope you can take some of this information and use it to make the proper purchasing decision whenever it comes to your small, compact, portable camera. With all that being said, I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you're upset about anything that I said, or you feel like this is a bad guide or something like that, make sure to mention that while you're using your burner account in the comments down below. Leave this a thumbs up and or thumbs down, whichever one it is, but take it light, but take it, and have a good one.